The truth isn't always comforting. Sometimes it cuts deep, like a surgical blade meant not to hurt, but to heal. Here it is, no one is your friend. That might sound harsh, but reality doesn't cater to comfort, it caters to truth. And truth, when faced head-on, can become the most powerful force for personal transformation. In a world that rewards dependence with disappointment and comfort with stagnation, your strength must become internalized, regulated, and trained. Not by applause, not by validation, but by a relentless, clear commitment to discipline, resilience, and total ownership of your life. This speech is not for the fragile. This is for the person who is ready to wake up, rewire, and rise. Self-reliance is not a romantic ideal, it is a biological necessity. The human brain is designed to adapt, to become efficient, and to conserve energy. When you consistently rely on others, emotionally, mentally, or even physically, you send a subtle but powerful signal to your nervous system. I don't have to carry the load. Over time, this builds a kind of learned helplessness, a neurological dependence on external rescue. You begin to outsource your courage, your decision-making, and even your drive. And that is the most dangerous kind of erosion, not the one that's visible, but the one that happens silently inside your mind. Depending on others doesn't just weaken your resilience, it trains you to stay small. Every time you default to someone else for emotional regulation, you deprive yourself of the neural circuitry that is meant to be built through discomfort. Stress, anxiety, challenge, these are not enemies. They are training stimuli. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision-making and long-term thinking, becomes sharper when you face adversity and solve problems independently. But when you constantly lean on others, your brain never learns how to fire on its own under pressure. You become emotionally reactive, mentally fragile, and spiritually stagnant. There is nothing wrong with connection. Humans are wired for it. But connection is not the same as dependence. The difference is subtle, but critical. Connection is a choice. Dependence is a crutch. One is empowering, the other is enslaving. And in a world where chaos is guaranteed, where betrayal is possible, and where even your closest allies have their own battles to fight, being dependent is dangerous. Self-reliance doesn't mean you reject help. It means you never require it to move forward. It means you develop a system within yourself mentally, physically, emotionally that can hold you steady when no one shows up, when everyone disappears, when life pulls the rug out from under you, because at some point it will, and in that moment all your excuses, all your dependencies, all your distractions will collapse. The only thing left will be you, and if you've built yourself right, that will be more than enough. The illusion of external support is one of the most dangerous beliefs you can carry. It's comforting to think people will always be there for you, that loyalty is eternal, that someone else will pick you up when you fall. But comfort and truth rarely coexist. The reality is, most people operate on a transactional basis. Their energy, attention, and so-called loyalty are often tied to what they can gain, how you make them feel, or how convenient it is to be associated with you. The moment your struggle becomes a burden, their presence evaporates. People will tell you they care, and maybe, on some level, they do. But when the weight gets heavy, when your journey becomes uncomfortable or inconvenient for them, most won't carry it with you. Not because they're evil, not because they're heartless, but because human nature is self-preserving. It's instinctive. People prioritize their own peace, their own safety, their own path, and when yours threatens theirs even subtly, they step back. This is where disillusionment becomes growth. When you stop expecting loyalty from others, you stop setting yourself up for disappointment. And from that space, something powerful emerges, independence grounded in clarity. You begin to realize that relying on people emotionally, financially, mentally, it's not just risky, it's unstable. Their support is temporary, conditional. Yours must be permanent, unconditional. Understanding this isn't about becoming bitter. It's about becoming clear. It's about seeing human behavior for what it truly is, nuanced, self-interested, and often fleeting. The strongest people aren't the ones with the biggest networks. They're the ones who know how to stand alone when it counts. They aren't shaken when others walk away. They expect it, and because they expect it, they are prepared. It's easy to feel betrayed when support disappears, but betrayal only hurts when you believed in something that wasn't real. That illusion that people will stay no matter what is what wounds you, not their absence. Once you remove that illusion, you become unshakable. You become the kind of person who moves forward without needing applause, who stays grounded without needing approval, who fights alone not because they want to, but because they can. That's power, and it's built the moment you stop depending on others to hold you up. Your mind is the only constant ally you will ever have. People may come and go, circumstances will shift, environments will change, but your mind, for better or worse, is always with you. It's the lens through which you interpret pain, process failure, and pursue progress. If you don't train it, it will turn against you. If you don't master it, it will control you. And if you don't discipline it, it will destroy your potential before the world even gets the chance. The brain is not naturally wired for greatness, it's wired for survival. Left untrained, it will default to fear, procrastination, distraction, and the path of least resistance. It will seek safety over growth, comfort over truth, pleasure over purpose. That's why mental discipline isn't optional, it's essential. Every day, your mind is shaping your reality, determining how you respond to challenges, whether you take action or make excuses, whether you push forward or retreat. That's not motivational talk, that's neuroscience. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, means that every thought you entertain and every habit you repeat is sculpting the architecture of your mind. If you train it with laziness, it learns to quit. If you train it with excuses, it learns to stall. But if you train it with discipline, repetition, and intentional discomfort, it learns to endure, and endurance is the foundation of greatness. You don't need more inspiration, you need more mental conditioning. You need to get up when you don't feel like it. Focus when your mind wants to wander, execute when your emotions scream otherwise. This is how you build an internal environment that doesn't depend on motivation, only discipline. Because motivation fades, discipline doesn't care how you feel. Most people are prisoners of their own thoughts, enslaved by overthinking, doubt, and emotional chaos. But the elite, the ones who rise above, they operate from clarity. They've trained their minds to remain focused under pressure, still under chaos, relentless in adversity. That level of control doesn't happen by accident, it's earned through daily reps, daily silence, and daily sacrifice. If you want power, train your body. If you want peace, train your emotions. But if you want complete freedom, train your mind. Because it's the only ally that never leaves you unless you leave it untrained. Solitude is not loneliness, it is the raw environment where clarity and power are forged. In a world flooded with noise, opinions, distractions, and constant digital chatter, solitude becomes a weapon. It is in isolation, in the quiet spaces where no one is watching, no one is applauding, and no one is validating, that the real work begins. This is where you face yourself fully, no masks, no performances, just truth. And from that truth comes transformation. Greatness doesn't grow in crowds. It's not born in popularity or built in public. It starts in solitude, in the hours of silent effort, in the moments where discipline replaces distraction, and in the decisions you make when no one is around to hold you accountable. When you're alone, you are forced to confront your weaknesses, your fears, your doubts, and you learn to navigate them without escaping. That confrontation is not a punishment, it's preparation. Because when you know how to battle your own mind in solitude, you become immune to the chaos of the world. Clarity is the first gift of solitude. when the noise fades, when you disconnect from everyone else's opinions, expectations, and timelines, you start to hear your own thoughts clearly. You begin to see who you really are and what you truly want, not what society told you to want. That level of clarity cuts through confusion like a blade, and once you have it, your direction becomes unstoppable. But clarity alone isn't enough. Solitude also builds power. Not power over others, but power over yourself. The ability to remain still in discomfort, focused in silence, and steady in uncertainty is a rare strength. Most people run from solitude because it feels empty. But those who embrace it realize it's not empty. It's full of potential. It's the incubation chamber of excellence. Every master, every revolutionary, every high performer has walked through the furnace of solitude, not because they wanted to be alone, but because they had to be. To build something exceptional, you have to disconnect from the ordinary. You have to go dark before you can shine. Solitude is not exile, it's elevation. And if you have the discipline to stay there long enough, you will emerge with clarity, power, and a mind the world cannot shake. Expect betrayal not because you're negative, but because you're prepared. This isn't about being cynical or closing yourself off from people. It's about understanding human nature at its core. People change, circumstances shift, pressure reveals truth. And when stakes rise, when loyalty costs something, many will choose themselves over you. That doesn't make them evil, it makes them human. But if you walk through life expecting unwavering loyalty from everyone, you're setting yourself up to be broken. Not by the betrayal itself, but by your failure to anticipate it. Preparedness isn't paranoia, it's intelligence. When you accept that betrayal is part of life, you stop being surprised by it. You stop taking it personally. And instead of wasting energy on outrage or bitterness, you redirect that energy into focus, execution, and progress. The awareness that betrayal is possible becomes your armor. It keeps you sharp. It reminds you not to get too comfortable, not to hand over your peace, your plans, or your emotional stability to anyone else. Because once you do, you give them the power to destroy you. Most betrayals don't come from enemies. They come from those you trust. Friends, partners, teammates, people who once stood close. That's why it hurts, but that pain is data. And if you use it right, it becomes wisdom. You learn to trust more carefully. You learn to observe patterns instead of listening only to promises. You learn that loyalty isn't what people say, it's what they do when it's inconvenient to stay loyal. Expecting betrayal doesn't mean you isolate yourself or stop building relationships. It means you stop building blind ones. It means you don't place your peace, your identity, or your mission in the hands of others. You move forward with openness, but also with awareness. You listen, but you verify. You connect, but you don't cling. That balance of trusting with your eyes open is what allows you to lead, to build, and to endure. True strength isn't built in a world where everyone stays loyal. It's built when you keep going even after they don't. It's built when betrayal sharpens your vision rather than softens your will. And it's built when your awareness of human nature doesn't make you cold. It makes you unstoppable. You must become the hero you're waiting for, not tomorrow, not when life feels easier, not when someone finally believes in you. Now, because no one is coming to save you. No mentor, no partner, no friend, no system. Waiting for someone else to carry you is the fastest way to stay stuck. Every second you spend outsourcing strength, hoping someone else will rescue you, inspire you, or build you, is a second stolen from your own power. The truth is, the version of you that you're chasing won't arrive until you decide to become it. It starts by killing the illusion that strength is something given. It's not. Strength is earned through struggle, through sacrifice, through standing up when it's easier to lie down. Every person you admire, every story of greatness, started with someone who stopped looking outside and started building from within. You are not the exception, you are the rule, and you are the raw material. What you do with that is your responsibility, not anyone else's. Stop saying you're not ready. Stop waiting for the right environment, the right people, the perfect clarity. That's a trap. The hero doesn't wait for the light. The hero walks into the dark and creates it. You're not supposed to feel fully equipped. You're supposed to act anyway. You don't need permission. You need persistence. Becoming the hero means taking ownership of everything, the pain, the flaws, the failure, and the comeback. It means holding the weight even when your legs shake. It means choosing discipline over distraction, action over excuses, responsibility over blame. No more pointing fingers, no more waiting to be rescued. It's on you now, and that's not a burden, that's your power. Because when you realize no one is coming, you stop shrinking, you start rising, you start making decisions not as a victim of life, but as the architect of it. That switch from dependency to leadership, from fear to fire, is the birth of the real you. So stop waiting for inspiration. Stop waiting for support. Stop waiting for someone to show you how it's done. Be that person. Be the warrior who builds the path, who carries the weight, who becomes the answer they were once searching for. Here is the powerful conclusion for the entire speech, titled "No One is Your Friend." So now you know. No one is your friend, not in the way that ensures your rise, your survival, your greatness. And that's not a tragedy. That's your liberation. When you stop expecting others to save you, support you, or stay loyal through every storm, you stop living passively. You stop outsourcing strength. You stop waiting. You realize that the only constant ally you have is your mind, and if you train it, master it, and discipline it, you become untouchable. In solitude, you find clarity. In isolation, you develop power. And through betrayal, you forge resilience. You weren't meant to be rescued. You were meant to rise. The world doesn't owe you loyalty, applause, or validation. What it does offer is resistance. And in that resistance, you are called to become something more, not dependent, not bitter, not fragile, but disciplined, clear, and relentlessly self-reliant. You are not the victim, you are the warrior. You are not waiting for the hero, you are becoming one.